There you are, guys. It is another beautiful day, and it is time to do the Leveling Up podcast. Welcome. Today, I have a very meaningful message for you. We're going to be talking about how to humanize your story. What that does for you is it makes it so you can actually connect deeper with people, find ways that you can attract the right audience, and then you can actually close more business. Now, today with Micah Johnson, you're going to love what he has to share with you. We're going to have a great conversation all about how to be more human, find ways to connect deeply with people through real conversations, and make it so that your story is not just something that goes in one ear and out the other. It makes it so it's really meaningful for those that are listening, and you can actually extract great experiences from others as well. So super stoked to have him on today. He is a wonderful real estate investor, a great person to talk to. And we came connected because I got to go and guest on one of the podcast that he's involved in. I'm so grateful to have him on today. So welcome, Micah, to the call. Super stoked to have you here, man.
Awesome, man. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. It's I love your passion, what you dig in on, and I think it's super valuable. So pumped to keep rolling.
Absolutely. I know with your background, you have a lot that you help investors with, but you also came from the world of being a realtor. You've done like 1,000 closed transactions, if I remember right, something around that. But you've done like 3,000 plus negotiations. That's a huge career of connecting people, having real conversations, finding the human story behind what their problem is. Can you talk to us about how you have become who Micah Johnson is today?
It's a loaded story, man, for sure. And it kind of goes in line with, I've really spent the last 10 years learning how to tell it. Of how to use it effectively, because what I learned about real estate is it's an intensely human business. Even though we're dealing with houses and math problems and different things, it's humans. Humans are interacting there, especially as a realtor. You're dealing with someone where someone's going to live there, laugh there, love there, eat there, cry there, die there. I mean, all kind of things happen in this property. It's a very human experience. And my journey to real estate to be able to relay that actually began in a Y2K doomsday cult. In the late 80s, my parents joined literally this very small group of like 5 other families. They thought the bottom half of of Florida was going to fall off. I'm born and raised in Florida. That there's Florida man's real thing, y'all. And we moved up into the middle of the woods, and we had like survival food and all this stuff. And it was on the fringes of a particular religion. And it was just all this really crazy experiences. It led me to having, I started working probably 12, 13 in watermelon fields for other people's farms, like literally just going, this is what we're doing now. I love to play sports. It was a tiny little town. But through all that, I ended up having like probably 25 jobs at this point, as it was really just bouncing through life. It was just, when you come from a really bizarre experience, our normal is very different. Yeah. I've worked with therapists who specialize in people who coming from extreme belief systems, which is what I prefer to call them now. The other word's kind of a buzzword, but it's an extreme belief system. It's just folks who have taken something to its absolute ends, and humans can do that. Like, that's what the real experience taught me, was one, point your beliefs places on purpose. Point everything you do somewhere on purpose. And through all that experience and then getting into real estate, I started to get to do it in a way where it created my living, right? Like, it started to, okay, if I can put this story together, understand who I am. I got very deep into personal development. That's where the giveaway comes from later, the Human Manifesto of how do you be human on purpose? Like, how do you get good at being human? And it became such a fascinating question to me, because it leads you into a lot of the stuff that you dig into in the story hook method, which is how to leverage who you are, what you are, how you do it, what it does for you to others to get them where they want to go. And it takes you where you want to go right as you do it, right? It's this, I don't know, I call it true perpetual motion. When done well, it repeats itself and it grows on itself, especially in real estate, because you treat people well, That reverberates through the industry, any industry really, but real estate particularly is a team sport. We can't do anything alone. It takes 8 people to close a house, right? Like you have to work well with others and interact well with others. And the better you know yourself, the better you are at using yourself on purpose to create the life that you want and the experience that you want others to have when they interact with you. And that is superpower, is what it becomes.
Beautiful. One of the things that pops up for me is when you are negotiating a property, when you are talking with someone about closing real business, almost always it comes down to what's the human problem? What's the universal challenge that they're experiencing? And then how do we solve that? Because if you can take away the pain, a lot of times people are happy to give you equity. So talk to us about, if you have a specific story that pops up, that's fine. Or what is it that you do to help identify those human stories, those things that really matter to people in comparison to things that we think matter, like money, but often are secondary or even tertiary?
Right. So in the real estate investment world, I'm a data guy. To me, data is a treasure map for real estate investors. But if you got to read data with a certain lens, like let's take pre-foreclosure, for example. That's the number one factor of someone selling at a discount fast in America. Nothing beats that. That's a great deal for an investor. But think about what has happened, right? So state of Florida, you don't get put on pre-foreclosure for 90 days here. I mean, you lose your house in 90 days after that. It doesn't take long, but the problem's not random. That human, something has happened to them, something. Whether it was self-inflicted or life did it, there's all kind of issues that trigger that. I've lived through some. So what experience lets you do is put yourself in the position of, okay, is this a good property? Is it a good deal? Who is the human now? Because the math doesn't matter anymore. All the math does is qualify the deal. Now it's a problem issue like you're talking about. So when you can go in and help somebody with the most embarrassing thing they're ever going through, that a lot of times life inflicted some pain on them that they didn't necessarily ask for, and you get a great deal, and at the closing table, they give you a hug and they tell you thank you. That is the consistent story in my world. It happens more often than not because it's a human. We're all human. That's our hack. You know what it's like to be them because you are one. It may not feel exactly the same, and that's a way deeper conversation and knowing yourself. But the reality is, I tell my kids this all the time. We'll go on a walk and we'll walk by people. And I'll ask my daughter, she's 12, hey, what'd you think about when they walked by? A lot of times I was wondering if they noticed this. I was like, guess what? They thought the same thing. They wondered what you were thinking about them. That's all we're all doing. Everybody's wondering what other people are thinking about them. If you can just think about other people, you have short-circuited the product. Don't do that. That's an autonomous human function to think about what other people are thinking about us. We just do it. The real human ability is to say, wait a second, that's not about me. What's about them? I'll get what I need as long as I do what I know what I need to do, but that involves helping them. Now I got to listen, right? Which is, you want to get good at telling stories, get good at listening to them.
That's huge. If you want to get good at telling stories, you have to be able to listen with the intent of understanding first and then clarifying so that you can make sure you're not misunderstanding. Because a lot of times we hear enough that we think we get it, but we haven't asked enough questions and dug deep enough to truly get to the core issue.
Right.
When you're in a negotiation, this is something I'm sure you've experienced multiple times. The first problem that pops up is usually like a smokescreen.
Right.
Because people sometimes lie, but usually it's not that they're trying to lie. It's that they're trying to save face. They're trying to stop the pain, and they don't want others to know what they're actually experiencing. And if we can get down to, well, how does that make you feel? What is it that you are really experiencing here? What can we do to take this pain away from you, and how can we help you? What is it that you need in this situation? Because sometimes what people need and what they want are different. When we figure out what they really want, maybe they don't want to have the people calling them at 3:00 in the morning. They want to stop the 60 or 70 collection calls. Whatever it is that they're experiencing, that shame, there are ways that we can help take that away if we provide the solution. You take that property off from their back and suddenly they they can breathe again and they can have a restart.
Right.
And that's huge. And that's where you get those hugs at the closing table, right?
That's where you get the hugs. And a guy, I cannot think of his name at the moment. He wrote the book called Blue Fishing. It's Steve something. Steve Sims. He actually passed away recently. It's very sad. Awesome guy. Incredible book. But what he talks about lines up with that, where you got to figure out how to ask why 3 times differently. So that the first one's, it's always a smoke screen. One of my favorite examples of it is one of the jobs I had. I worked in a sporting goods store, right? And all of us can relate with this because you go into a store, someone walks up to you, and what do you say? Hey, can I help you find something? What do we say?
No, thanks. I'm good.
I'm just looking. I'm just looking. Yeah, no, thanks. Just looking. It's not random. They're in your store. It's not. So, but the best follow-up question I ever came up with was, what are you looking for? Oh, well, I'm looking for this. Oh, well, that's right over there. Oh, great. Thanks, man. Because like you're saying is, I need to know what's actually happening. They didn't come into the store just to wander around. Some did. Okay. But most did not. And all they wanted was to get in and out and find the thing they wanted and go. They came in with a mission. They didn't want me. They didn't think they needed me, but I'm the guy that can make the mission happen like that. I live here, y'all. I'm the one that knows where everything is. I'm not trying to sell you things. I'm trying to show you where things are. And that all of a sudden I sold more stuff, had more add-ons. Like I had big numbers at the thing simply just for adding a couple questions after the first one, because we all do it. And it's one I felt relates with a lot of people because I do it. It's an escape maneuver. I'm just looking. Like, I don't want to talk to you. Please leave me alone. You're in my bubble, right? But if you push against it some, now I'll reveal more. And that's what humans do. It's intensely human. We all do it. Chris Voss has a great example with our kids. Why we just say no. It's a reaction. We just say no because it's protection. A lot of times we don't know why we're saying no. And if our kid presses back a little bit, we'll be like, oh, well, wait a second. Let me think. Okay, actually, that's possible. But we just say no automatically because we don't want to disturb ourselves. And it's learn the hacks. Like those are all the things we're dealing with, especially in negotiations. That's another person. It's a person. The math problem's irrelevant. It's a person. Because one of the things I've learned working with some very high level negotiators in real estate investing, it's never about the price. Ever. Price is irrelevant until you get to the problem. Right. You can get your anchor price fast, like see where their head's at. But after that, we're not negotiating price until you tell me what the heck is going on. And I can tell you how I can solve that. And then I can explain why my price is going to be the way it is, because this is what it takes to solve that problem. And they're like, oh, my God, please, please solve this problem. Get it off my back. I don't want to do it. And it's that simple. I mean, you do it for years. It's simple, guys. It's not easy. But it is simple. It's a repetition thing. It's an in the moment thing. You got to be in live fire. That's what 3,000 of these taught me. When you're in the live fire, your senses go up. There's nothing like it. Like you can't fake the real thing. And it's in those moments that you need to think well, that you need to expose yourself to so that the questions come to you, right? It's easy. There's a lot of guys that do talks that listen in. A trained professional speaker as well. Why do you love your favorite movie? Why do you love your favorite actor in that movie? You think it's the first time they read that script? No. Now it's most likely not even close to what the script originally said because they've embodied the character now. And that takes massive dedication to your craft. You have to practice your talks and practice the enunciations, the energy, the pauses, the lean forwards. Like it's all choreographed. And that's what pros do. Like that's the difference between a professional at this and someone that just feels like they're good at it is, are you doing it on purpose? And then do you have a good heart? Because that's where it really lines up. Once you learn the skill set, you better be a good person. And that's where my human manifesto, along with this journey, it taught me I better be a good human, because if not, I can take advantage of a lot of people.
One of the things that comes out of this is if we are looking at improving our communication skills, our persuasion, we can choose how we use it. And if we don't have the right morals, we don't have that foundational character to say, I'm going to live in integrity. You can manipulate people in a lot of ways if you don't use these skills correctly. And that's why in my book, I give this warning multiple times. You need to use this for good. You need to figure out, how can I share my story in a way that will empower and help people? Because if you are doing something to manipulate others, like, the devil does that too. Like, he's really good at manipulating people.
Right.
So think about this before we go on. I want to make sure we're providing specific value for people. We want to talk about, how do we humanize our stories? How do we make it more universal, make it easier for others to connect and resonate? I know you've done this for years as a speaker and as an entrepreneur, negotiator. What is your tip or trick to make it so that you can humanize a story as meaningful as possible and make it so that people can see themselves in your story?
Mine is journaling.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us about journaling.
That's mine. So I've had a little over 4 years of every day written down. I have about 8 years documented at this point. I started working with a mentor in 2022 who has 40 years every day. And working with him, it's not writing it, it's reading it. That's the key. It's not random what you're putting in there. So for me, journaling, and here's some behind me. These are just ones that I'm not reading out of right now. I have about 7 others at my table where I write each morning. So I wake up each morning. My first thing I'm doing is I'm going to sit down, wake up, have a cup of coffee, and I'm going to write about the previous day. Whatever sticks out, whatever I feel important. I have a checklist on my days I keep to. I write each morning, so I'll look at that. What's important that stuck out to me today that I want to keep track of? And I'll document it. Sometimes it's just random stuff. I took my dog on a golf cart ride and had a good time. Like, it's not like super important things, but sometimes it really is. But it all becomes important as you read. So when I go back and read what I was doing right now in 2022, I was in my own way. It was me. I can read the decisions I was making, the thoughts I was having. Now, I was operating with the best information I had at the time. I didn't realize how much of it was me, but then it really started to jump out. And what that helped me do was really just remember my life in ways where I could use it to interact with other people, because we all do that, right? We all make decisions, think we have the best information. It doesn't work out, or it works out. But documenting it, I get to see my life in a way most people don't. I remember things most people don't. I can connect dots simply because I have it written down. That lets me interact with people very intentionally, because I'm an emotions person. I feel the world. Like, if I'm talking to somebody, I can feel the energy they're putting off. So I pay attention to that and I use it as data. So once it interacts with me, that, okay, this is the place they're in. I am ADHD and dyslexic, so I'll tap into my superpower and go through all this information from reading my journals and documenting of bam, 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 situation. Okay, this. So I don't necessarily tell a story, but I use the emotion I can feel from my own to interact, to know this is the place that they are. This is where they are in their life based on the story they're telling me. And then that allows me to then, if you need to use your story, because use your story on purpose. So often when we pay attention to this in another conversation, next time you're in a group of folks, 4 or more, for a minute, if someone's sharing a story, pay attention to this. Listen to the next story that's shared and don't let it be yourself. And see if that story is a little bit bigger than the one that was just said, because that's our natural inclination as humans. We're not trying it to be rude. I want to be a part. I want to interact. I want to do this. I want you to feel like I'm a part. Don't do that. Because the person who just told their story is like, why'd you just say that? Like, the other 2 guys may be super pumped about it now and listening, everyone's interacting, but there's one guy in the group now that is like, what the hell just happened? Pardon me. Like, I was sharing this part of my life and getting ready to dig into something, and now all of a sudden we're on to this other guy. He met the president and all that. Like, be very intentional with the stories you tell. They're not random. When the part where we're talking about listening, if you're going to use a story back, so he uses a story about this moment that he had, pick a story that's intentionally less than his in your life. Oh man, I think I felt something like that when I went through this. Is that right? Oh my God. Yeah, man, that's the same thing. Now guess what you have? Boom. Now we're rolling. Like you've built like, know, and trust really quick. Cause I'm not trying to one up you. I'm trying to support you. I don't care if I've done cooler things than you. That's for me to know. That's not for me to say out loud randomly. And that takes maturity and storytelling, because we can really get excited and we see this connection in our minds. And we're just like, but ask me how I know. I've blown up more conversations doing it and realizing, dang it, that's not what I was trying to do.
This is beautiful. I love the intentionality of thinking, not just, I'm not going to one up you, but I'm going to support what you said and say, is this where you're going with that? This is where I've experienced that. It's a great tie back to just great communication skills. And that comes from experience. I definitely can see when I've done that in my life too. Tried not to one up, but when I say, I was like, oh shoot, I totally bulldozed this story because mine was funnier, or it was a better story.
Exactly.
Shoot,
and you don't mean to.
Instead of creating a connection, you actually alienate them if you make it so much better than the original story that people forget what they originally said. So this comes down to intentionality, and it comes down to what am I actually trying to accomplish with sharing this? Communication skills is almost all based on, why am I doing what I'm doing? And is this going to serve the person that's listening, or is it going to detract from them? I love edifying my guests and edifying people that are on this podcast, because it's not just, hey, let me tell you what happened to me. It's help me understand you a little bit better and how we can add value to the audience.
Right.
What you said, so good. Thank you so much for bringing that intentionality to your conversations. And that really does make it more human. One of the things that I think we could divest into, you've had lots of time on stage sharing your experiences in real estate and your human framework. Can you talk about how you've grown as a speaker and some of the things that you've been able to do to make it so that your communication has been able to level up?
The first thing I did was hired a first-rate level speaking coach, Trisha Brook, out of New York City. She's coached Michelle Obama, Richard Gere, Kate Winslet. Like, I went and stepped my game up. That's what I did. I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go learn from the best that do it, and learned how to speak better on stage, but also how to run the business of speaking, which is what most folks don't get taught. And it's a business like anything else, and you have to systematize it to get your bookings and things. Like, even if you're super popular and stuff, doesn't matter. You still have to create this machine that'll trade in speaking opportunities. If you don't, you won't win. But getting in there with her was number one, because it just stripped me down, right? Because everybody in they ain't beginners. These are folks that they are willing to get exposed to criticism. What are you doing that for? That was eye-opening. And it led me to a question of, why am I saying what I'm saying when I'm about to say it? And if I can't answer that question, I don't say anything. And on stage, whatever it is, it goes into how I do my writing, so that in a 20-minute talk, you get 1 point. In an hour talk, you get 2 points. Never go more than 2 points. Like, no one's going to absorb that information. So how do you get those points to really land home? That's where you're on the money with with storytelling. It's everything. Humans have always learned through storytelling. This is one of my favorite books I keep on my shelf. This is the Tao Te Ching. This was written 3,000 years ago, based on oral traditions from 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. We learn through storytelling. The smaller, the better. It's why the book of Proverbs is so powerful. It relates things to us in ways that stimulate us mentally, but also emotionally. They anchor into something real. It's an intentional action. It's not random. It's refined. As you go, that is your focus, is what am I trying to say at this particular event? What's my goal, right? What am I trying to get? Obviously, am I trying to get more coaching clients? What am I trying to do? Okay. Same thing as the houses, though. Now backdoor it. Who's my audience? What's their problem? What's a way that I can share the talk that I give and effectively to them? Because it's not like we write custom talks for everybody. It's learning how to take that core message and just tweak it for your audience. And it's I hope that's helpful. It's kind of vague, but speaking is a pretty vague thing. I like Jerry Seinfeld's joke on it. If you're willing to speak, you're already ahead of 70% of the population. Statistics say they'd rather be in the casket than give the eulogy. Okay. So if there's 30% of people that only want to talk, if I do my work, it's not hard to be in the top 1%. Mm-hmm. Right. Because only 30% want to. How many actually take the actions to do it, to get good at it, be willing to flop, right? Be willing to get up there and that talk not hit. I remember I gave a talk one time. I was doing it in the morning, and I had this idea where I'm actually gonna not talk for the first 5 minutes, and I'm gonna have everybody write a journal entry, and I'm gonna write my journal entry from stage just so I can read it later. When I'm sitting in my chair, man, I am writing this from stage. I thought it was going to be awesome. It was not awesome. It did not go well. It didn't land at all. Don't start a talk with 5 minutes of silence. Heads up. But it was like this. It was a willingness to get out there and to keep going and to learning. Because one guy came back after that talk and he said, man, he actually whipped out his notebook. He's like, I've been journaling for 20 years. I love it. I love it. Thanks for today. And it's like, okay. There we go. If that one guy got it, that's it. Like, that's what I was hoping for. But, willing to share your story, willing to be authentic. Like, the speakers that hit are extremely themselves. Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, like, these guys are very much themselves, right? Even Tony Robbins does a great talk on swearing, about how to use it effectively from stage, where we tune out. We will tune out, and the F word can lock somebody back in about 2.5 seconds, and he'll do it on purpose. And it's fascinating to watch the professionals use language and story and how they fold it in. Like Gary Vee, and he always tells his mom, my mom always praised me for the silliest things, and that led to this, and that led to this. So now you look at a guy that's like, he's this big simply from the very beginning. His mother celebrated this stuff about him. Holy shit. I need to treat my kids better. Like, I want to make sure I'm doing that. It's so easy to be hard on kids. Be better about that when they do the little things well that we've just been doing for 40 years now. Right. Like anyways, those are the connections.
Something you said with me just really resonated, focusing in on how can you just be you? Because if you're trying to stand out, guys, you don't want to be anybody but you. You have thousands of experiences and maybe tens of thousands of experiences that are extremely valuable, but most of the time people don't journal them. They don't document them. They don't have a way to recall those experiences in a way that's meaningful for others. What great speakers do is they take those magical moments from their life, those really instructive lessons, those failures that taught them something, and they will intentionally construct a story that will be of value to somebody else. That's actually why I think the story hook method is so powerful. When you are able to take your journal entries or you take your experiences and you say, what is actually significant, not just for me, but for my audience, my intended audience? And then how do I translate this and make it valuable for them so they see the benefits in that story before the end of it, so they get excited. And as you're moving through your story, you have a very pointed objective saying, this is what we're looking to accomplish. You deliver that hook, keep them engaged the entire time, and then you deliver it by reliving, tapping in on every single sense that you can that's appropriate for that story. And then you wrap that with a call to action. Now, if they do that call to action based off your story changed somebody's life.
Right.
If they don't do anything based on what you said, most of the time it's because you screwed up the T section of this, the translate. They didn't see the real benefit of doing what it is that you're talking about. And if you go and rework your story and you translate it in a better way, say, this is what this means for you. It's going to help you be more impactful. It'll help you close more deals in real estate. It will help you be able to find ways to make it more human in connecting with people and build better relationships. However it is you frame that story, and then you give real reasons in the story woven in, they have that external motivator to say, I want those results. I'm willing to do that call to action. Because people are logical only after they feel it. Right. If they don't feel those emotions and there's no humanality to it, I made up that word, humanness. There's no, there's no universality. That's the one I wanted to say.
That's it.
if they don't tap into those emotions, a lot of times they're not going to get in motion and do something.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on the story hook method, specifically the story framework?
It's everything. If you're not doing it, you're not leveraging the greatest skill humans have to persuade others of things that are useful and helpful for them. Right. And that's the stigma sales has gotten, is we've developed all these techniques that have nothing to do with genuine interaction and genuine understanding. And it's just a checklist of go through this script, knock it out, and that's sales. And it's not real sales. It's not, especially the high ticket kind. You can sell a $5 widget that way, but you ain't selling $25,000 stuff that way and up, like, because especially that translate one. You reminded me of, I was listening to I was at a conference and a speaker was talking, and he said a really helpful, like, quick way to do that. He said, verb your noun. If you want to translate something quickly to somebody, it's a verb your noun. So I can close your deals, or this, like that. And you're thinking about your audience. What's the verb you can do to their noun? And that's how you can start to translate it in a way where you're shifting that story. Oh, now I see it. Now I connect it, because you nailed it, man. If it's not emotional, we don't care. Humans are not logical at all. We're not. If you think that, you're wrong. Just study the science, because it's always emotion first. And diving back into like the real human part, one of the things that helped me realize this, one of my favorite teachers, his name is Michael Singer. And he practices what he calls the observer method, which is, not digging into it, but basically what he gets down to is when we get irritated in life, a lot of times it's the stories we're buying into in our mind. But if you get really good at observing, you'll actually notice it's an emotional experience in our chest about a split second before our mind goes off. And if you can catch it in your chest, then if you pay attention to the story long enough, which that's what my journals help me do, the story isn't true. The story just wants certainty. It wants to, that's a very human thing. We just want to be really, really certain. I need to be certain. And there is no certainty. It's very hard to have that in life. One of my favorite quotes there is, most people prefer the certainty of misery than the misery of uncertainty. But the misery of uncertainty is where all the fun stuff is. It's where life really is. Like, even going on stage for a talk, you don't know if it's going to go great ever. There's always this feeling of like cold sweats right before, of like, do I really want to do this? The answer is always yes. But it's that, like, that's might become one of my favorite feelings, because then it's real. You're real. You're in the arena now. You got a chance to do something now. And being able to use your story to communicate that emotionally. Everyone in the crowd is not your audience, but some people in the crowd are. Speak to them. That there's a book out there called 1,000 True Followers that I love, because it's what he talks about. You want to make $10,000 a month, get 1,000 people paying you $10 a month. And that's not that hard to do, but you got to be very niche down. You got to have a very specific message, because if everyone's your customer, no one's your customer. And that just is, I mean, that bleeds into communication and storytelling and all of it, because it's you. That's the human side. Going back to the personal development, all the things I've gone through and lived through. And I consider myself the luckiest guy alive, y'all. Like, I'm not upset about it. I'm not a victim. Life's happening for me. So don't feel sorry for me in any way, please, because I am very grateful for my life. It has taught me everything by going back and thinking about it, reflecting on it. All the nuggets for you to do everything you want to do, they're already here. They're already in you. How do you communicate them out to the audiences that you desire? Because that's not random. Who you want to talk to, what you have the desire to say. None of that stuff is random. It's screaming from your humanity. Talk about this. Talk about this. Go talk about it. Like, learn how to speak about it. How does it interact with you? Where are the people that want to listen? Or where are they at? Like, those really tight pulls to a niche. That's your door. That's life saying, hey, I need you here, because it needs all of us. We all, high performers, we love to be heroes. Like, we'd love to save everything, but we can all only save maybe one thing. And if we all get in our lane, now we're changing the world, right? Going back to the thing earlier that you mentioned about differentiating yourself, being authentic. One of the first speaking coaches I worked with, she said, Micah, we do not differentiate on what we do. There's only so many what's. We differentiate on who is doing it and how we do it. And it was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Now I feel free, because we all want that thing no one's ever figured out. Everything's figured out. How do you adjust something in outside the already existing ecosystem that ramps it to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
And that was freeing for me. It was like, okay, now I get to be me. We can all talk about personal development or real estate investing, but here's how I do it. And here's the message I get out. And here's what's important to me about it. Now my audience comes to me. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
That's a great way to think about it, because how you do it and how somebody else is going to do it, that's the real differentiator. And I think why you do it too. That's something that the way you bring it up is going to be something that will either enhance your connection with an audience or say, oh, maybe that's not the person for me. And that's okay. You said your vibe attracts your tribe. I love that.
Right.
Got to take all the different points that we've brought up. We've talked about how we can humanize using our story, how to bring the story hook method and make it so that you can communicate more effectively. I love not, one-upping each other's stories. One final piece here. If you had one piece of advice to leave the audience with, what is the one thing that you said, this would really help a speaker be more effective, improve the way that they are connecting with others? And this is something you maybe has been in the back of your mind for a little bit. What would you like to share?
When I'm preparing for anything now, there's a question I ask myself, and it's, are you willing to accept self-honesty? So it points at me first and gets me in the position to perform at my best, to be able to go up there and get the message out and across, because you're only able to grow as far as you're willing to be honest with yourself. And that requires you to change things, adjust things, right? The great example I see between real estate and speaking is the same thing won't work forever. Same marketing won't work forever. Same talk won't work forever. Same stuff won't. Even though you might be super comfortable with it, you're growing as a human. Keep plugging it in. It doesn't end. You're not done. It doesn't. Neil deGrasse Tyson says it. You're not done becoming until you're dead. Like you're always becoming something. So don't shut doors on yourself. Don't close things out. And massive self-honesty is the door to that for me.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for adding so much value today. I know you talked about leaving a gift with everybody, the manifesto. Talk to us about what that is and where people can go and get the Human Manifesto from you.
Right. It's a PDF. I'll make sure that there's a link that you can click on to get it. So the Human Manifesto is all the writing and thinking I've done distilled over the last 10 years into a concept of how to be human on purpose. So that it's universal lessons. They're not like, this is just literally stuff I've noticed and wrote down and tried out over and over again. So everything in there is documented in my journals from a human being intentionally trying to live a certain way and try things and then show, hey, this is a way I've done this that's created a really great life. That's what it does. Read through it. I'm very much just a writing guy, so it's not that pretty. You can also plug it into a chat GPT prompt if you want to and have it talk back to you, create a persona based on this. I have one because I have all my favorite authors listed on it as well. There's an entire book list in there. So everything in that document is sourced. It's all coming from here and it lives. I keep growing it. So that's what I want to share. There is one extra thing. If you go to ChatGPT and you search GPTs, look up the Consciousness Lab. That is a GPT I programmed with all this stuff, where I know journaling's hard for people. You can talk to it. It'll ask you questions. And if you give it your email, it'll keep a Google sheet for you of your daily what's going on, so that you can literally have the same kind of data I keep about myself, just talking to your phone.
That's sweet. And you start that daily practice of journaling. I was really good when I was a missionary. I did it almost every single day perfectly, and then come back and life happens. So I think getting back in that habit is really helpful. So thanks for the reminder.
Here's how I do it. I buy very specific journals. I have a very special pen. I fill it with ink, and it's a sacred time. That is what makes it repeatable. And start reading once you're a week in. If you're out there wanting to do a journaling practice and get to daily, I highly recommend writing the day after about the previous day, because there's no fluff. You slept on it. It's very easily repeatable. And then once you have a week written down, write, go back and read a week. Once you have 2 weeks, write, go back, read 1 week, 2 weeks. Once you have 3, 1, 2, 3 month. Once you start getting to the months, just go back a month and you can keep rolling, but go back and read about yourself. That's why I can't miss a day now. I don't want to miss reading it 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now. I want to know what the heck was happening. And now I can't stop. So that's the way I've found to make it repeatable, because it's not easy. I agree.
What a great call to action, guys. Go journal more.
Go journal more. Write your life down. I get to leave my kids volumes of my life. And that's how I think about it when I write it. Real dad is in there. If they want to share with people, that's up to them. But real dad is in those journals, telling them, well, here's what I think. Here's what I'm trying. Think about this later, so that thankfully ChatGPT can interpret cursive. They can just take pictures of it and it'll tell them. But but it's a cool thing to leave. We all talk about legacy, but what's that really mean? What legacy is not one thing. It's not just money. It's not just houses. It's story, right? I'm leaving this story legacy that's back here. So tying it back into how important that really is. This is the story of Dad's life.
I think that's huge. And then take those journals and do something with it, right? Like give them to your kids, or I've found these, I've made this a meaningful experience. I've distilled these years of experience into a book or into something that people can actually utilize. That's huge. So thank you for the example of what you've done.
Last one, because my mind connects a lot of things. What you just reminded me of right there, the story that pops in my head is the one that Jesus told, the parable of the talents, where he gives, I can't remember the numbers anymore.
10, 5, 1.
Yeah. 10, 5, 1. Okay. Right. 10 turns to 20, 5 turns to 10, 1 gets everything taken away. And that is a humbling message if you'll really think about what he's saying. That it's our duty as humans to participate, to share, to help others grow. Because if not, everything you have will be taken away from you and given to the one that has. Like, that is the moral of that story to me, of do it. It's you get the chance. If you're alive right now and you're listening, you actually have the human ability to do this stuff on purpose. Do it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Micah. This was so much fun. I know we're going to have a lot more fun in the future as well. Thanks for being such a great example of journaling, of being an investor, helping people in so many different facets. You really bring the human element to storytelling. Love you, man. Appreciate you. And guys, if you want to continue to level up your life, go to brigham.com/3. This has the 3 reasons stage fright costs and how to fix it. Now, what this does for you is it helps you be able to connect deeper with your audience. And when you're feeling that fear, that anxiety that most people call stage fright, anything that stops you from speaking up, this document will help you start that process of being able to share your message in a way that's meaningful, that's simple, and actually makes an impact. So thanks so much for being here. Guys, go download that, brigham.com/3. That'll take you there. And then if you want my book, Storyhook Method, it's right up here with the QR code. We'll see you guys next time, and God bless.